Welcome to the Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. All right. Without further ado, you know what it is. We dive straight into the sauce, sip straight to the juice. We got our scenario. What is the most weirdest or disturbing thing you've seen in real life? All right. Before we get into the thread, though, I want to make a quick announcement. Today is going to be the first episode of us starting the audiobook of Haunting Adeline. So we're going to be, after our thread, we're going to go ahead and do the announcements and then get right into that. Every Thursday, we're going to be going over, I would hope, a chapter. The way it's broken down is it's kind of broken down into multiple tracks. So we're going to try to do like at least 2 tracks an episode. But let me know if you guys like this. Let me know if this is something you want to keep doing. After we finish this book, you guys might want to recommend some other ones. If maybe this is not something that's not your jam, don't worry about it. It's only going to be on like the Thursday episodes, and then the Tuesday episodes, you'll get the thread and all of the scenarios, stuff like that. Patreon guys, you guys don't worry about that. I will still be pretty much prioritizing you guys' stories with these episodes, and then, we'll have random Reddit stuff on the Tuesday episode. So things are going to be changing up in 2024, man. We're going to be changing things up, getting things a little different, starting, some new things, experimenting with some things, because this podcast is all about growth, baby. This is what we do. I want to keep the content diverse and interesting, and I feel like this is the best way to do it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just feel like this is going to be exciting. This is something that I kind of wanted to get into. My significant other reads these books, and she always talks about how great they are and stuff. So I want to check it out, man. And like I said, if there's some book recommendations, you guys let me know. Hit me up on Instagram or TikTok and send me a DM, and just let me know. All right. So let's get into the scenario, though. Again, the scenario is the thread. I'm sorry. The thread is, what is the most weirdest or disturbing thing you've seen in real life? Seeing my Gramps after he committed suicide was pretty wild and traumatic and disturbing. He had to shoot himself twice because the first shot missed his heart pacemaker. They be tough on bullets, apparently. So he had to go for a second shot. Imagine him sitting there after summoning the strength for a suicide only to have to remuster and trigger again. That kind of thought he was having the entire time. The misery, the fortitude, the fear. Seeing his body haunted me for months after. The whole thing was so surreal, but also too real. I don't know how to describe it. It's like seeing a horror movie, but it's actually Grandpa, because he was sick and couldn't die when he needed to. I don't blame him, and I actually understand his choices. But seeing him like that, smelling the blood, smelling all of the blood, there was a lot. Having the police there investigating a potential homicide because the whole 2 shots. Hearing my mom get the call that he'd shot himself and us rush to the scene, going to the funeral home and making sure the wounds would be covered so he could have an open casket like he wanted, his favorite Navajo blanket wrapped around him, reconciling the bloody heap over the old man in his pajama pants with the strong Grandpa who'd bounced me on his knee and called my grandma love so much I thought it was her actual name when I was little. He was ornery. He was ornery and not perfect, but he shouldn't have had to die like this, and he's why I fully believe in assisted suicide. The whole thing was a trip from the gut level to the profound spiritual level, and it changed me. I've seen a lot of bad things in life, a lot of death. His death was far from the first that I had seen at that time, but seeing him like that changed my perspective on a lot of things, and it still impacts me years later in ways I don't know until now. Yo, dude, that is crazy, man. That is something that is so like over the top, like traumatic. I don't even think I would be able to get past seeing something like that, man. Dude, I hope he's doing well. My God, we jumped out the gate dark as fuck, dude. Man. I'm going to move on because that is, wow. Good luck to him. Rest in peace to his grandpa. I hope everything's all right, man, because Jesus. Had a young man fall off the balcony of our building, 13th floor. I could hear this woman screaming, and I ran down thinking she was in danger. As I was coming outside, I saw the young man. His head was non-existent, and she was screaming this guttural scream, but her face wasn't moving. It was horrible. I grabbed her to stop her from trying to pick him up. When it was all over, I walked across the bar and stayed drunk for 2 days. Oh my God. So what I'm taking is that homeboy got decapitated and then fell off the balcony, or he must have tripped and then got decapitated and fell off the balcony. But the whole thing is he saw the head on the floor and pretty much the body on, off the balcony down on the floor level. And she was trying to pick up the head. Yo, man. Yo, dude, you guys are going through some crazy shit. Oh my God. Like, usually, we laugh and have some fun on this show, but when it's shit like shock value like this, my goodness. And I was thinking, I don't know, because it said what's the weirdest, you know what I mean? So I was thinking, it'll be some weird stuff, you know what I mean, here and there, but nothing like that. Oh my God. I was working at a gas station removing monitoring wells when a Mini Cooper got T-boned by a van who ran the red light in the adjacent intersection. It was the crack of dawn, so we were the only people out. The Mini was hit so hard the car jumped the curb and came to a smoking stop only 5 feet from me and my crew. We were like deer in headlights. No one jumped out of the way. We just hear a deafening crash. By the time we were looking up, the car is already in front of us. We snap out of it, call 911, and tried to help the guy. We can't open the driver's side door. The guy was clearly unconscious. Blood was everywhere, and he was convulsing. In minutes, the cavalry arrives, fire department, police, paramedics, and eventually 2 suits show up, detectives. While the guy was getting cut out of the car, we were being interviewed. The Mini driver's roommate/friend, maybe significant, was at the gas station losing it. No one was helping him since he was just a civilian, so all he had was us. He kept asking what he should do through the endless tears. We told him to find out what hospital the driver was going to and tell his family. He thanked us and left. The roommate and the other driver lived only 3 houses away. The roommate heard the crash and ran over there. I find out why the suits were there. The Mini driver was dead, or guaranteed to be dead by the time he got to the hospital. So the incident was potentially considered homicide. We got released by the police, and the supervisor tells us to leave immediately and go home over the next 2 weeks. I'm in a lot of meetings. I work a very large firm with big health and safety culture. Had we decided to remove a different well that morning, maybe the car plows through me and my crew and I. There are 4 dead bodies instead of 1. Man, he kind of drones on a lot more, but I'm not going to read the rest of it. The big thing of it is I guess he works for some firm that removes wells, and I don't know where all they hear is just pow, and then this Mini Cooper just gets laid out and pretty much like gets hit so hard that the car comes towards them. Luckily, it didn't get, to them and hurt any of him or his crew or anything like that. But then they're like deer in headlights. They don't know what to do. They're like, holy shit, what just happened? And then they finally take a peek into the car. The dude is like, doing some shit like this, where he's convulsing and, unconscious, whatever the case may be. They finally call the police. Everybody comes and shows up. They can't even get the door open. The car was hit that hard to where the door was shut. So I'm sure they got the jaws of life and fucking cut that motherfucker open. Dude, imagine seeing that though. Like for me, I've seen a car accident before. I've only ever seen maybe 2. But I've never seen nothing to the degree of like something where a person is, for one, trapped in a car. 2, they're pretty much dead. And then 3, I was almost part of it. Like, oh my God, dude. That to me is crazy. Oh my God, that's crazy. Ay, man. I feel like this is going to be a lot of like people dying in this episode. Man, because we did a previous episode of when was a time that someone tried to kill you and how did it go? That was a crazy episode. That was wild within its own, you know what I mean? And this one is kind of like, whoa, because, these people are like witnessing it, they're waking up thinking, oh, I'm gonna have a normal ass boring day. And then out of nowhere, they fucking see somebody die. All right, let's get on to the next one. Gotta be a tie between a guy getting so many shots to the chest that the insides slide out. And when my friend stumbled into what he thought was a pile of clothes, but was actually a body. I had to clean the greasy gunk off his hands and calm him down. That day I learned it's really easy to convince hysterical people of things because I somehow convinced him that he didn't just land in a rotten corpse. Oh my God. Oh, hopefully... I mean, homeboy is probably hella traumatized. Just the fact that like what the hell? Maybe he, he got shot up and then they dumped his body. He thought he just fell in some clothes, and really it was a dead person. Man, imagine the trauma you would go through. Oh my God. Dude, this thread is not what is the most weirdest / disturbing thing you've seen in real life. This thread is what is the craziest way you've seen someone die. That's what this thread should be called. What is the craziest way you've seen a person die or pass away? Because fuck, man, that's all we're getting. Ay. Oh, man. Okay. When I was a kid, maybe 10 or 12, my father's friend told us that there was a wounded deer with 2 broken legs struggling to move down the road to our house in a very, very rural area. Nearest the neighbors was miles away. My older brother was and is a very disturbed person. He said, let's go find the deer. And we went down and found the poor thing. It must have been hit by a car. So my brother said we have to put it out of its misery, and he then brandished a big Rambo buck knife, and he brought it with him and ran up to the deer and hopped into it, and then proceeded to stab the deer right in the chest, / lung area. The noise of the deer yelping and the hissing of air leaving its lungs out of its holes from my brother stabbing it still haunted me to this day. You can even see the chunks of its lung hanging out of the holes and were whitish sacks. He stabbed it 4 times and then got off of it and then watched it a bit, and we left. I was in shock. But this was actually one of the disturbing things that happened around my brother and father. Brother went to prison for 10 to 20 years eventually as a young adult. Oh, here is one more. No, man, we ain't going to do that one. But because he did like a super long one. Then he's like, oh, let me do one more. Like, nah, dude, we're going to just do that one. So I guess from stabbing that deer, it felt so good. He probably became a murderer. The fact that he was in jail 10 to 20 years later, it's like, yo, that's like some Jeffrey Dahmer shit where homeboy, he liked, killing rats and feeling organs and shit like that. Like, it always starts with animals. It always starts with some animals, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want to do this with people. Like, your brother was literally Jeffrey Dahmer, bro. Like, I don't think he was eating people and doing all that shit. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think he was eating people and doing all that. But it's the fact that, like, homeboy was legitimately fucking, like, he started from putting an animal out of his misery, and then all of a sudden he's over here killing people, and then he goes to jail. Damn, dude. Okay. All right. Okay, a 60-year-old woman passed away from a car accident lying alone in the street with both her legs torn off below the knee. Nobody did anything to help. Her feet were still in her shoes, and it just looked like meat in a lot of areas in the road. Everybody just stared and started to block off the roads for the police. I even saw one person film the dead woman from a short distance away. She was hit by a 19-year-old drunk driver. Oh my God. I forgot to mention she was a pedestrian crossing the street on her bike when the driver hit her. Oh my God. Imagine seeing that. You're just like, what the fuck is going on over there? Why is everybody... And then so, you kind of get to the front and you see just this old lady in the middle of the road. Her legs up to her knee are just gone. Her feet are still in her shoes, everything. And there's just chunks of ligament everywhere. And this 19-year-old kid is just drunk in his car, wondering what the fuck is going on. Wow, bro. That is crazy. Oh, I could never see stuff like that, if I'm being honest with you. Like, for me, I would see that kind of stuff and be like, yeah, no. You know what I mean? I'd be like, no, I can't see this, because I'm not really good with blood, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I can't even have my blood drawn and like see it go into the needle type shit. I'm just like, I can't even do that. So imagine seeing stuff like this. I'd probably lose my lunch. My goodness. All right. Let's see. I was on a beach in California, pretty remote. A cliff overlooked it, and at the bottom of the cliff there were piles and piles of driftwood logs. I went climbing around the logs and came upon a dying fawn. I figured it fell from the cliff and must have broken its legs or worse from the fall. It was so dehydrated, barely breathing, I considered carrying it out of there, but it was a long hike out and almost sundown, and I had no idea what I'd do with it even if I got it back to my car. I considered putting it out of its misery, but I couldn't do it. I stayed with it while petting it and telling it was beautiful and that I hoped it had some joy in its life, and I am sorry. Man. There was a time at work, me and my buddy, back when he did work with us, we found this baby bird, and we didn't know, like, we were sitting down and, we were just chilling and we were talking, and then he was just like, hey, yo, is that a bird? And I was like, yo, it is a bird. And it had its eyes closed, and it was just kind of like hanging on the side of like a box. And we thought, okay, the bird is like, sleep. You know what I mean? Because it was probably like 2 a.m, whatever the case may be. So we figured the bird was asleep. So, we were chilling. We go to lunch and we come back. The bird is still there. And we're like, what the heck is going on? So we try to like move the bird or whatever, and we notice the bird can't fly. Something must have happened to the bird. We don't know what happened. Its wing must have broke or whatever the case may be. And so we were like, holy shit, this bird is actually gonna die. Like, it's got a broken wing, it's probably dehydrated, hasn't drank anything. We tried to give it water, we tried to like put it in a little cap, you know what I mean, and try to get it to like drink out of the water or whatever. It wasn't doing it because it looked at us and it was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And we try not to give it a heart attack, because I think it was like a hummingbird or something like that. And so, we put it in a box because we were like, oh, we don't want nothing to happen to it. Sadly, though, the bird ended up passing away, and we gave it a funeral and buried it at the job site. And, that was that, man. Stuff like that does happen, and it's horrible because, we were like, dude, we're going to put it in a box. We even like made a sign. So we got one, like a sticker, and it was like a blank sticker, and we wrote on there, and we was like, baby bird injured or whatever. And I was like, I'll just take it to, like a vet place, and then they can take it to like a wildlife center or something like that. Like, we Googled what to do. We Googled places near and stuff like that. And so that's what we were going to do. But sadly, it was all in vain. And yeah, man, that was that. It kind of sucked, dude. It kind of sucked. It was something where we were just like, ah. And we felt so bad, because we were like, dang, we really wanted to do something like that. But that type of shit happens, man. That type of shit does happen. And it does suck. Okay. All right. I've been working in a hospital for years, and dead bodies are very weird. They are in fact dead, and they aren't staring at you and obviously can't blink. Tell that to your mind, though. You'll definitely swear you've seen one blink. Okay. That is scary. That is kind of scary. Like, imagine... man, you hospital workers and all that stuff. I couldn't work at a morgue. I couldn't work with dead bodies, bro. I just could not do it. Imagine being in a hospital and, your patient passed away, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and it happens every single day. And sadly, they got to get that motherfucker out of there because they need that bed for the next person, and so on and so forth. And you're just like looking at this person, and then there's no life in there, but you could swear that there is life in there just a little bit, and you just freak yourself out. Oh, dude, that's just crazy to think about. Man, y'all gonna have some nightmares. Hopefully you aren't listening to this late in the night, because you about to have some nightmares, man. God damn. Thinking about dead bodies blinking at you and shit. I wouldn't say weird, but definitely disturbing, traumatizing, really. My partner passed away from self-inflicted gunshot wound. He literally ate a bullet. Oh my God. His face looked exactly like it did every time I woke up next to him snoring. His eyes were gently closed, and his mouth was only slightly open. The color of blood was unreal. I had to grab his shoulders and pull him out from between the wall and the bookshelf he collapsed into. I turned his face to me, and I felt the blood in his hair between his fingers. I had my hand on his back, and he was so warm. I could feel his heart wasn't beating, his lungs weren't breathing, his blood wasn't moving. I had tackled him basically not 20 seconds prior, and now all that life and presence of soul I felt as a human being existing in the same space as me was completely gone. I immediately felt that he was gone, but I begged for an ambulance anyway. Not soon after that, I heard the last of whatever was in him came out from between the blood leaking out of his mouth. It was making me nauseous thinking about it. I loved horror movies and gore. I laughed when people died and cried in movies. I callously scrolled through hundreds of news articles daily detailing death and suicide. Ever since then, I can't deal with it anymore. Man, yeah, for all you like horror movie lovers and stuff like that, the moment that shit actually happens to you, you're like, I can't do it, because you're just it's PTSD inducing at that point. You're just like, oh fuck no. God damn, man. Oof. And then that sucks because, you know, that was her boyfriend or her husband or whoever it was. It was somebody obviously she was living with and that she, you know, loved, because she was just like, I just remember hugging him and, you know, him being so full of life. And then all of a sudden it's like the next time I hug him, he's just lifeless. He's just lifeless. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? You feel no semblance of life or vitality anywhere. That must be wild. You know, for me, luckily, I've never gone through any of this stuff, and I'm sure that there'll be a time, you know, everybody does, when you have a family member pass away, or if you have significant other pass away, or, you know, even if, you know, your parents get to a point where, you know, they just live their life. You know, it's not a thing where they prematurely died or nothing. They just lived their life and they, you know, passed away naturally. It sucks, man. And I know I'm gonna go through it eventually, and it, you know, lucky for me, I'll probably got, you know, at least another 30 years before that happens, you know. But my goodness, that to me is kind of crazy, dude. Oh man. But that I'm going to go ahead and end that thread here. That this thread has been getting really dark. It's been getting kind of crazy. I didn't think that this thread was going to be this dark, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't think this thread was going to be like this. I thought this thread was going to be a little more funnier, lighthearted, you know, they see some weird shit or whatever, but it was a lot of people passing away, man. And a lot of crazy car accidents and, you know, people getting ran over and all that kind of stuff. Man, I mean, if you're into that gory stuff, hey, you're into that. I know I couldn't do it, man. I know that I couldn't do it. Oh, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't like to just do funny stuff. You know, I like to get into all kinds of different things. You know what I mean? Just, like I said, this podcast has opened my eyes to the world that we live in and experiences of other people, and being able to put ourselves into the shoes of other people is kind of crazy, you know, and the fact that you guys get to kind of do this with me, I think is really cool through this podcast. So, you know, thank you guys for the support. And that reminds me, you know, let's get into the announcements. Thank you guys for all the support, man. You guys supported the absolute hell out of me in 2023, and I cannot thank you guys enough for all that support in 2023, man. It's been crazy. I started the podcast August 14th. I'm sorry. I started in August 14th, 2023. And ever since then, from August all the way to December, you guys supported, you guys downloaded, followed on TikTok, liked the clips, followed on Instagram, liked the clips there. You guys pop into the live shows here and there, and you check that out. Even if you don't pop into the live shows, you guys still show support on the listening platforms, and I thank you guys so much for all that, man. I could not ask for a awesomer audience than you guys. You guys are awesome, and the audience is growing every single day, if I'm being honest with you, which is super awesome. And I think that's awesome that you guys come back every Tuesday, Thursday to come listen to your boy and his shenanigans. And I thank you guys so much for that, and to listen to my wacky ass dumb opinions on shit. You know what I mean? I love that. I love when people come into the comments and they share their own experiences and they share their own situations, and they answer the thread question, you know what I mean, as if they're part of the thread. And I love that. I love seeing you guys' responses to that stuff. TikTok has really been able to grow a community there. And so I've been actually loving the support like crazy, man. Thank you guys so much. The show is going to keep evolving. It's going to keep getting in, like, over 2024. We're going to be getting into some new stuff. I'm going to, you know, find some new ideas and new ways to kind of just spice the show up and keep it going. Today we're going to be starting our very first innovation, where we're going to start with like audiobooks. You know, we're going to some crazy ass audiobooks. My significant other, she is a book talk person. She loves these, you know, wild and crazy books about like a guy stalking a girl or whatever the case may be. And, you know, it's just shit like that. And so, you know, they're kind of sexy books too, a little bit. So, you know, we're going to be getting into that as well. But, you know what I mean? And then once we're done with this one, this book is called Haunting Adeline. So, you know, if you guys want to I'll have it on screen for you guys. If you guys, want to recommend a book for me, if you guys want to recommend things that we do on the show, I'm open to it 100%. You know what I mean? I want to get to a point where, you guys are involved with the show as much as, I am, and so on and so forth. And, the show stays awesome and exciting throughout the 2024 year. Like I said, the content ain't stopping, baby. You guys are going to get a show every single Tuesday, Thursday, Friday if you're on Patreon, as well as Sunday. All right. You guys are going to continue to get this content week after week after week after week after week. All you guys got to do is show up, download, rate the podcast, 5 stars preferably if you can. If you can't get enough of this show, patreon.com/Am I the Asshole Podcast, $3 a month. If you are an audio listener, hit that support the show link, and that takes you right to it. If you are anywhere else, the link tree has the Patreon in there, and I have my link tree everywhere. So thank you guys for all the support. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this book. It's kind of broken down in like tracks. It's not really broken down in chapters, which I think is weird. So we're going to do about two tracks an episode. Like I said, we're going to only do this segment on Thursdays, so that way you guys still get a normal episode on Tuesday as well as on Sunday. You'll get normal episodes Tuesday and Sunday, and then Thursday will be kind of our book talk episode. So let's go ahead and get into this. Like I said, I've never read this book before. I don't know what to expect. You guys, if you've already read the book, just enjoy my reactions, if we can talk about it, all that good stuff. Just no spoilers, please. Try to keep spoiler free if you can help it. But if you've never read this book before and you're kind of interested and you're like, hey, I want to give it a shot, and you don't really want to pay for the audiobook, stuff like that, don't worry about it. I got you. I paid for the audiobook for you, and we're going to listen to it together. So without further ado, let's get into this book.
Prologue. The windows of my house tremble from the power of thunder rolling across the skies. Lightning strikes in the distance, illuminating the night. In that small moment, the few seconds of blinding light showcases the man standing outside my window, watching me, always watching me. I go through the motions just like I always do. My heart skips a beat and then palpitates, my breathing turns shallow, and my hands grow clammy. It doesn't matter how many times I see him, he always pulls the same reaction out of me. Fear and excitement. I don't know why it excites me. Something must be wrong with me. It's not normal for liquid heat to course through my veins, leaving tingles burning in its wake.
Yo, what? Like, I understand the fear part, but she was like, it excites me that he watches me. That shit boils my blood in excitement. Oh, okay. All right.
It's not common for my mind to start wondering about things I shouldn't. Can he see me now? Wearing nothing but a thin tank top, my nipples poking through the material. Or the shorts I'm wearing that barely cover my ass. Does he like the view? Of course he does. That's why he watches me, isn't it? That's why he comes back every night, growing bolder with his leering while I silently challenge him, hoping he'll come closer so I have a reason to put a knife to his throat. The truth is, I'm scared of him. Terrified, actually. But the man standing outside my window makes me feel like I'm sitting in a dark room, a single light shining from the television where a horror flick plays on the screen. It's petrifying, and all I want to do is hide. But there's a distinct part of me that keeps me still, baring myself to the horror, that finds a small thrill out of it. It's dark again, and the lightning strikes in areas further away. My breathing continues to escalate. I can't see him, but he can see me. Ripping my eyes away from the window, I turn to look behind me in the darkened house, paranoid that he's somehow found a way inside. No matter how deep the shadows go in Parsons Manor, the black and white checkered floor always seems visible. I inherited this house from my grandparents. My great-grandparents had built the 3-story Victorian home back in the early 1940s through blood, sweat, tears, and the lives of 5 construction workers. Legend says, or rather Nana says, that the house caught fire and killed the construction workers during the building structure phase. I haven't been able to find any news articles on the unfortunate event, but the souls that haunt the manor reek of despair. Nana always told grandiose stories that wrung eye rolls from my parents. Mom never believed anything Nana said, but I think she just didn't want to. Sometimes I hear footsteps at night. They could be from the ghosts of the workers who died in the tragic fire 80 years ago, or they could be from the shadow that stands outside my house, watching me. Always watching me.
God damn.
Chapter 1. The Manipulator. Sometimes I have very dark thoughts about my mother. Thoughts no sane daughter should ever have. Sometimes I'm not always sane. "Addie, you're being ridiculous," Mom says through the speaker on my phone. I glare at it in response, refusing to argue with her. When I have nothing to say, she sighs loudly. I wrinkle my nose. It blows my mind that this woman always called Nana dramatic, yet can't see her own flair for the dramatics. Just because your grandparents gave you the house doesn't mean you have to actually live in it. It's old and would be doing everyone in that city a favor if it were torn down. I thump my head against the headrest, rolling my eyes upward and trying to find patience weaved into the stained roof of my car. How did I manage to get ketchup up there? And just because you don't like it doesn't mean I can't live in it, I retort dryly. My mother is a bitch, plain and simple. She's always had a chip on her shoulder, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why. "You'll be living an hour from us. That will be incredibly inconvenient for you to come visit us, won't it?" Oh, how will I ever survive? Pretty sure my gynecologist is an hour away too, but I still make an effort to see her once a year, and those visits are far more painful. "Nope," I reply, popping the P. I'm over this conversation. My patience only lasts an entire 60 seconds talking to my mother. After that, I'm running on fumes and have no desire to put in any more effort to keep the conversation moving along. If it's not one thing, it's the other. She always manages to find something to complain about. This time, it's my choice to live in the house my grandparents gave to me. I grew up in Parsons Manor, running alongside the ghosts in the halls and baking cookies with Nana. I have fond memories here, memories I refuse to let go of just because Mom didn't get along with Nana. I never understood the tension between them, but as I got older and started to comprehend Mom's snarkiness and underhanded insults for what they were, it made sense. Nana always had a positive, sunny outlook on life, viewing the world through rose-colored glasses. She was always smiling and humming, while Mom is cursed with a perpetual scowl on her face and looking at life like her glasses got smashed when she was plunged out of Nana's vagina. I don't know why her personality never developed past that of a porcupine. She was never raised to be a prickly bitch. Growing up, my mom and dad had a house only a mile away from Parsons Manor. She could barely tolerate me, so I spent most of my childhood in this house. It wasn't until I left for college that Mom moved out of town an hour away. When I quit college, I moved in with her until I got back on my feet and my writing career took off. And when it did, I decided to travel around the country, never really settling in one place. Nana died about a year ago, gifting me the house in her will, but my grief hindered me from moving into Parsons Manor. Until now. Mom sighs again through the phone. "I just wish you had more ambition in life instead of staying in the town you grew up in, sweetie. Do something more with your life than waste away in that house like your grandmother did. I don't want you to become worthless like her." A snarl overtakes my face, fury tearing throughout my chest. "Hey, Mom?" "Yes?" "Fuck off."
Ooh!
I hang up the phone, angrily smashing my finger into the screen until I hear the telltale chime that the call has ended. How dare she speak of her own mother that way when she was nothing but loved and cherished? Nana certainly didn't treat her the way she treats me, that's for damn sure. I rip a page from Mom's book and let loose a melodramatic sigh, turning to look out my side window. Said house stands tall, the tip of the black roof spearing through the gloomy clouds and looming over the vastly wooded area, as if to say, "You shall fear me." Peering over my shoulder, the dense thicket of trees are no more inviting, their shadows crawling from the overgrowth with outstretched claws. I shiver, delighting in the ominous feeling radiating from this small portion of the cliff. It looks exactly as it did from my childhood, and it gives me no less of a thrill to peer into the infinite blackness. Parsons Manor is stationed on a cliffside overlooking the bay with a mile-long driveway stretching through a heavily wooded area. The congregation of trees separates this house from the rest of the world, making you feel like you're well and truly alone. Sometimes it feels like you're on an entirely different planet, ostracized from civilization. The whole area has a menacing, sorrowful aura, and I fucking love it. The house has begun to decay, but it can be fixed up to look like new again with a bit of TLC. Hundreds of vines crawl up all sides of the structure, climbing towards the gargoyles stationed on the roof on either side of the manor. The black siding is fading to a gray and starting to peel away, and the black paint around the windows is chipping like cheap nail polish. I'll have to hire someone to give the large front porch a facelift, since it's starting to sag on one side. The lawn is long overdue for a haircut, the blades of grass nearly as tall as me, and the 3 acres of clearing bursting with weeds. I bet plenty of snakes have settled in nicely since it's last been mowed. Nana used to offset the manor's dark shade with blooms of colorful flowers during the spring season. Hyacinths, primroses, violas, and rhododendron. And in autumn, sunflowers would be crawling up the sides of the house. The bright yellows and oranges in the petals, a beautiful contrast against the black siding. I can plant a garden around the front of the house again when the season calls for it. This time, I'll plant strawberries, lettuce, and herbs as well. I'm deep in my musings when my eyes snag on movement from above. Curtains flutter in the lone window at the very top of the house. The attic. Last time I checked, there's no central air up there. Nothing should be able to move those curtains. But yet, I don't doubt what I saw. Coupled with the looming storm in the background, Parsons Manor looks like a scene out of a horror film. I suck my bottom lip between my teeth, unable to stop the smile from forming on my face. I love that. I can't explain why, but I do. Fuck what my mother says. I'm living
fuck
here.
That bitch.
I'm a successful writer and have the freedom to live anywhere. So what if I decide to live in a place that means a lot to me? That doesn't make me a lowlife for staying in my hometown. I travel enough with book tours and conferences. Settling down in a house won't change that. I know what the fuck I want, and I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about it. Especially Mommy Dearest. The clouds yawn and rain spills from their mouths. I grab my purse and step out of my car, inhaling the scent of fresh rain. It turns from a light sprinkle to a torrential downpour in a matter of seconds. I bolt up the front porch steps, flinging drops of water off my arms and shaking my body out like a wet dog. I love storms. I just don't like to be in them. I'd prefer to cuddle up under the blankets with a mug of tea and a book while listening to the rain fall.
Facts.
I slide the key into the lock and turn it, but it's stuck, refusing to give me even a millimeter. I jimmy the key, wrestling with it until the mechanism finally turns, and I'm able to unlock the door. Guess I'm gonna have to fix that soon, too. A chilling draft welcomes me as I open the door. I shiver from the mixture of freezing rain still wet on my skin and the cold, stale air. The interior of the house is cast in shadows. Dim light shines through the windows, gradually fading as the sun disappears behind gray storm clouds. I feel as if I should start my story with, "It was a dark, stormy night." I look up and smile when I see the black-ribbed ceiling, made up of hundreds of thin, long pieces of wood. A grand chandelier is hanging over my head, golden steel warped in an intricate design with crystals dangling from the tips. It's always been Nana's most prized possession. The black and white checkered floors lead directly to the black grand staircase, large enough to fit a piano through sideways, and flow off into the living room. My boots squeak against the tiles as I venture further inside. This floor is primarily an open concept, making it feel like the monstrosity of the home could swallow you whole. The living area is to the left of the staircase. I purse my lips and look around. Nostalgia hitting me straight in the gut. Dust coats every surface, and the smell of mothballs is overpowering, but it looks exactly how I last saw it, right before Nana died last year. A large black stone fireplace is in the center of the living room on the far left wall, with red velvet couches squared around it. An ornate wooden coffee table sits in the middle, an empty vase atop the dark wood. Nana used to fill it with lilies, but now it only collects dust and bug carcasses. The walls are covered in black paisley wallpaper, offset by heavy golden curtains. One of my favorite parts is the large bay window at the front of the house, providing a beautiful view of the forest beyond Parsons Manor. Placed right in front of it is a red velvet rocking chair with a matching stool. Nana used to sit there and watch the rain, and she said her mother would always do the same. The checkered tiling extends into the kitchen with beautiful black-stained cabinets and marble countertops. A massive island sits in the middle with black bar stools lining one side. Grandpa and I used to sit there and watch Nana cook, enjoying her humming to herself as she whipped up delicious meals. Shaking away the memories, I rush over to a tall lamp by the rocking chair and flick on the light. I release a sigh of relief when a buttery soft glow emits from the bulb. A few days ago, I had called to get the utilities turned on in my name, but you can never be too sure when dealing with an old house. Then I walk over to the thermostat, the number causing another shiver to rack my body. 62 goddamn degrees. I press my thumb into the up arrow and don't stop until the temperature is set to 74. I don't mind cooler temperatures, but I'd prefer it if my nipples didn't cut through all of my clothing. I turn back around and face a home that's both old and new. A home that's housed my heart since I could remember, even if my body left for a little while. And then I smile, basking in the Gothic glory of Parsons Manor. It's how my great-grandparents decorated the house, and the taste has passed down through the generations. Nana used to say that she liked it best when she was the brightest thing in the room. Despite that, she still had old people's taste. I mean, really, why do those white throw pillows have a border of lace around them and a weird embroidered bouquet of flowers in the middle? That's not cute. That's ugly. I sigh. Well, Nana, I came back, just like you wanted. I whisper to the dead air. Are you ready? My personal assistant asks from beside me. I glance over at Marietta, noting how she's absently holding out the mic to me, her attention ensnared on the people still filtering into the small building. This local bookstore wasn't built for a large number of people, but somehow they're making it work anyway. Hordes of people are piling into the cramped space, converging in a uniform line, and waiting for the signing to start. My eyes rove over the crowd, silently counting in my head. I lose count after 30. Yep, I say. I grab the mic, and after catching everyone's attention, the murmurs fade to silence. Dozens of eyeballs bore into me, creating a flush all the way to my cheeks. It makes my skin crawl, but I love my readers, so I power through it. Before we start, I just wanted to take a quick second to thank you all for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm incredibly excited to meet you all. Everyone ready? I ask, forcing excitement into my tone. It's not that I'm not excited, I just tend to get incredibly awkward during book signings. I'm not a natural when it comes to social interactions. I'm the type to stare dead into your face with a frozen smile after being asked a question, while my brain processes the fact that I didn't even hear the question. It's usually because my heart is thumping too loud in my ears. I settle down in my chair and ready my Sharpie. Marietta runs off to handle other matters, shooting me a quick good luck. She's witnessed my mishaps with readers and has the tendency to get secondhand embarrassment with me. Guess it's one of the downfalls of representing a social pariah. Come back, Marietta. It's so much more fun when I'm not the only one getting embarrassed. The first reader approaches me, my book The Wanderer in her hands with a beaming smile on her freckled face. Oh my God, it's so awesome to meet you, she exclaims, nearly shoving the book in my face. Totally a me move. I smile wide and gently take the book. It's awesome to meet you too, I return. And hey, Team Freckles. I tack on, waving my forefinger between her face and mine. She gives a bit of an awkward laugh, her fingers drifting over her cheeks. What's your name? I rush out before we get stuck on a weird conversation about skin conditions. Geez, Addie, what if she hates her freckles? Dumbass. Megan, she replies, and then spells the name out for me. My hand trembles as I carefully write out her name and a quick appreciation note. My signature is sloppy, but that pretty much represents the entirety of my existence. I hand the book back and thank her with a genuine smile. As the next reader approaches, pressure settles on my face. Someone is staring at me. But that's a fucking stupid thought because everyone is staring at me. I try to ignore it and give the next reader a big-ass smile, but the feeling only intensifies until it feels like bees are buzzing beneath the surface of my skin while a torch is being held to my flesh. It's unlike anything I've felt before. The hairs on the back of my neck rise, and I feel the apples of my cheeks heating to a bright red. Half of my attention is on the book I'm signing and the gushing reader, while the other half is on the crowd. My eyes subtly sweep the expanse of the bookstore, attempting to scope out the source of my discomfort without making it obvious. My gaze hooks on a lone person standing in the very back. A man. The crowd shrouds the majority of his body, only bits of his face peeking through the gaps between people's heads. But what I do see has my hand stilling mid-right. His eyes. One so dark and bottomless it feels like staring into a well, and the other an ice blue so light it's nearly white, reminding me of a husky's eyes. A scar slashes straight down through the discolored eye, as if it didn't already demand attention. When a throat clears, I jump, snatching my eyes away and looking back to the book. My Sharpie has been resting in the same spot, creating a big black ink dot. Sorry, I mutter, finishing off my signature. I reach over and snag a bookmark, sign that too, and tuck it in the book as an apology. The reader beams at me, mistake already forgotten, and scurries off with her book. When I look back to find the man, he's gone. Addie, you need to get laid. In response, I wrap my lips around my straw and slurp my blueberry martini as deeply as my mouth will allow. Daya, my best friend, eyes me, entirely unimpressed and impatient based on the quirk of her brow. I think I need a bigger mouth. More alcohol would fit in it. I don't say this out loud because I can bet my left ass cheek that her follow-up response would be to use it for a bigger dick instead. When I continue sucking on the straw, she reaches over and rips the plastic from my lips. I've reached the bottom of the glass a solid 15 seconds ago and have just been sucking air through the straw. It's the most action my mouth has gotten in a year now. Whoa, personal space, I mumble, setting the glass down. I avoid Daya's eyes, searching the restaurant for the waitress so I can order another martini. The faster I have the straw in my mouth again, the sooner I can avoid this conversation some more. Don't deflect, bitch. You suck at it. Our eyes meet. A beat passes, and we both burst into laughter. I suck at getting laid, too, apparently, I say after our laughing calms. Daya gives me a droll look. You've had plenty of opportunities. You just don't take them. You're a hot 26-year-old woman with freckles, a great pair of tits, and an ass to die for. The men are out here waiting. I shrug, deflecting again. Daya isn't exactly wrong, at least about having options. I'm just not interested in any of them. They all bore me. All I get is, what are you wearing and want to come over? Winky face at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm wearing the same sweatpants I've been wearing the past week. There's a mysterious stain on my crotch, and no, I don't want to fucking come over. She flips out an expectant hand. Give me your phone. My eyes widen. Fuck no. Adeline Riley, give me your fucking phone. Or what? I taunt. Or I will throw myself across the table, embarrass the absolute shit out of you, and get my way anyways. My eyes finally catch on our waitress, and I flag her down desperately. She rushes over, probably thinking I found a hair in my food, when really my best friend just has one up her ass right now. I procrastinate a little bit longer, asking the waitress what drink she prefers. I'd look through the drink menu a second time if it weren't rude to keep her waiting when she has other tables. So alas, I pick a strawberry martini in favor of the green apple, and the waitress rushes off again. Sigh. I hand the phone over, slapping it in Daya's still outstretched hand, extra firm because I hate her. She smiles triumphantly and starts typing away, the mischievous glimmer in her eye growing brighter. Her thumbs go into turbo speed, causing the golden rings wrapped around them to nearly blur. Her sage green eyes are illuminated with a type of evilness you would only find in Satan's Bible. If I did a little digging, I'm sure I'd find her picture somewhere in there, too. A bombshell with dark brown skin, pin-straight black hair, and a gold hoop in her nose. She's probably an evil succubus or something. "Who are you texting?" I groan, nearly stomping my feet like a child. I refrain, but come close to allowing a little of my social anxiety to air out and do something crazy like throwing a temper tantrum in the middle of the restaurant. It probably doesn't help that I'm on my third martini and feeling a tad adventurous right about now. She glances up, locks my phone, and hands it back a few seconds later. Immediately, I unlock it again and start searching through my messages. I groan aloud once more when I see she sexted Grayson. Not texted, sexted. "Come over tonight and lick my pussy. I've been craving your huge cock." I read aloud dryly. That's not even all of it. The rest goes into how horny I am and touch myself every night at the thought of him. I growl and give her the filthiest look I can manage.
God damn.
My face would make a dumpster look like Mr. Clean's house. "I wouldn't even say that," I complain. "That doesn't even sound like me, you bitch." Daya cackles, the teeny little gap between her front teeth on full display. I really do hate her. My phone pings. Daya is nearly bouncing in her seat while I'm contemplating Googling 1,000 ways to die's contact information so I can send them a new story. "Read it," she demands, her grabby hands already reaching for my phone so she can see what he said. I jerk it out of her reach and pull up the message.
"Grayson, about time you came to your senses, baby. Be over at 8.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I really fucking hate you, I grumble, giving her another scowl. She smiles and slurps on her drink. "I love you too, baby girl."
Fuck, Addie, I've missed you.
Grayson breathes into my neck, humping me against the wall. My tailbone is going to be bruised in the morning. I roll my eyes when he slurps at my neck again, groaning when he rolls his dick into the apex of my thighs. Deciding I needed to get over myself and blow off some steam, I didn't cancel on Grayson like I wanted to. Like I want to. I regret that decision. Currently, he has me pinned against the wall in my creepy hallway. Old-fashioned sconces line the blood-red walls, with dozens of family pictures from generations in between. Feel like they're watching me. Scorn and disappointment in their eyes as they witness their descendant about to get railed right in front of them. Only a few of the lights work, and they just serve to illuminate the spiderwebs they're crawling with. The rest of the hallway is shadowed entirely, and I'm just waiting for the demon from the grudge to come crawling out so I have an excuse to run. I would definitely trip Grayson on the way out at this point, and not 1 inch of me is ashamed. He murmurs some more dirty things into my ear while I inspect the sconce hanging above our heads. Grayson said in passing once that he's scared of spiders. I wonder if I can discreetly reach up, pluck a spider from its web, and put it down the back of Grayson's shirt. That would light a fire under his ass to get out of here, and he'd probably be too embarrassed to talk to me again. Win-win.
If she didn't want to fuck him, well, she could have just been like, "Oh, no, I'm sleepy now." And, like, she could have just told homeboy to kick rocks. Like, he showed up at the house, and then she could have just been like, I was in the mood, but now I'm not in the mood anymore. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. Close the door, lock that bitch, and be done with it. Like, but now she's in this precarious situation, and she's thinking about 1,000,001 ways to get him to leave. And it's like, Why? Why even put yourself in this position? What are you doing? Okay. All right.
Just when I actually go to do it, he rears back, panting from all the solo French kissing he's been doing with my throat. It's like he was waiting for my neck to lick him back or something. His copper hair is mussed from my hands, and his pale skin is stained with a blush. The curse of being a redhead, I suppose. Grayson has everything else going for him in the looks department. He's hot as sin, has a beautiful body and a killer smile. Too bad he can't fuck and is a complete and utter douchebag.
Let's take this to the bedroom. I need to be inside of you now.
Internally, I cringe. Externally, I cringe. I try to play it off by jerking my shirt over my head. He has the attention span of a beagle. And just like I suspected, he's already forgotten about my little blunder and is staring intensely at my tits. Daya was right about that, too. I do have great tits. He reaches up to tear the bra from my body. I probably would have smacked him if he actually ripped it, but he freezes when loud banging interrupts us from the main floor. The sound is so sudden, so violently loud that I gasp, my heart pounding in my chest. Our eyes meet in stunned silence. Someone is pounding on my front door, and they don't sound too nice.
Are you expecting someone?
He asks, his hand dropping to his side, seemingly frustrated by the interruption.
He even sounds like a douchebag, too. Hey, you expecting someone? Like, he doesn't even sound like an attractive guy. He fucking sounds like he sounds like an 80s douchebag kind of thing. Oh, I was totally missing you, Adeline. Yeah. With a little bit of Down syndrome or some shit. Like as if he's trying so hard to make his voice deep, but his voice just isn't like actually that deep. And so he's just trying really hard. Oh, yeah. I totally miss you. Let's take this to the bedroom. I need to be inside you like now. You know what I mean? Like, he not only sounds like a douchebag, but he just sounds like a hot dude with Down syndrome. Oh my God. Ay, ay, ay.
No, I breathe. I quickly tug my shirt back on, backwards, and rush down the creaky steps. Taking a moment to check outside the window next to the door, I see the front porch is vacant. My brow furrows. Letting the curtain fall, I stand in front of the door, the stillness of the night closing in on the manor. Grayson walks up beside me and looks over at me with a confused expression.
You gonna answer that?
He asks, dumbly, pointing at the door as if I didn't know it was right in front of me. I almost thank him for the directions just to be an ass, but refrain. Something about that knock has my instincts blaring code red. The knock sounded aggressive, angry, like someone had pounded on the door with all their strength. A real man would offer to open the door for me after hearing such a violent sound, especially when we're surrounded by a mile of thick woods and a 100-foot drop into the water. But instead, Grayson stares at me expectantly, and a little like I'm stupid. Huffing, I unlock the door and whip it open. Again, no one is there. I step out onto the porch, the rotting floorboards groaning beneath my weight. Cold wind stirs my cinnamon hair, the strands tickling my face and sending shivers racing across my skin. Goosebumps rise as I tuck my hair behind my ears and walk over to one end of the porch. Leaning over the rail, I look down the side of the house. No one. No one on the other side of the house either. There could easily be someone watching me in the woods, but I have no way of knowing with it being so dark. Not unless I go out there and search myself. And as much as I love horror films, I have no interest in starring in one. Grayson joins me on the porch, his own eyes scanning the trees. There's someone watching me. I can feel it. I'm as sure of it as I am about the existence of gravity. Chills run down my spine, accompanied by a burst of adrenaline. It's the same feeling I get when I watch a scary movie. It begins with the beat of my heart. Then a heavy weight settles deep in my stomach, eventually sinking to my core. I shift, not entirely comfortable with the feeling right now. Huffing, I rush back into the house and up the steps. Grayson trails behind me. I don't notice he's in the middle of undressing as he walks down the hallway until he steps into my room after me. When I turn, he's stark naked. Seriously? I bite out. What a fucking idiot.
He still
Someone
thought he was
just
getting some
banged on
booty.
my door like the wood personally put a splinter in their ass, and he's immediately ready to pick up where he left off. Slurping on my neck like one would slurp Jell-O out of a container.
What?
He asks incredulously, splaying his arms out to his sides. Did you not just hear what I heard? Someone was banging on my door, and it was kind of scary. I'm not in the mood to have sex right now. What happened to chivalry? I would think a normal man would ask if I'm okay. Feel out how I'm feeling. Maybe try to make sure I'm nice and relaxed before sticking their dick inside me. You know, read the fucking room.
You serious?
He questions, anger sparking in his brown eyes. They're a shitty color, just like his shitty personality and even shittier stroke game. The dude gives fish a run for their money, the way he flops when he fucks. Might as well lay out naked in the fish market. He'd have a better chance of finding someone to take him home. That person is not going to be me. Yes, I'm serious, I say with exasperation.
God damn it, Addie.
He snaps, angrily swiping up a sock and putting it on. He looks like an idiot, completely naked, save for a single sock, because the rest of his clothes are still thrown haphazardly in my hallway. He storms out of my room, snatching up articles of clothing as he goes. When he gets about halfway down the long hallway, he stops and turns to me.
You're such a bitch, Addie. All you do is give me blue balls, and I'm sick of it. I'm done with you in this creepy fucking house.
He seethes, pointing a finger at me. And you're an asshole. Get the fuck out of my house, Grayson. His eyes widen with shock first, and then narrow into thin slits, brimming with fury. He turns, cocks his arm back, and sends his fist flying into the drywall. A gasp is ripped from my throat when half of his arm disappears, my mouth parting in both shock and disbelief.
Since I'm not getting yours, thought I'd create my own hole to get into tonight. Fix that, bitch.
He spits. Still sporting only one sock and an armful of clothes, he storms off. You dick! I rage, stomping towards the large hole in my wall he just created. The front door slams a minute later from below. I hope the mysterious person is still out there. Let the asshole get murdered wearing a single sock. April 4th, 1944. There's a strange man outside my window. I don't know who he is or what he wants from me, but I think he knows me. He watches me through the windows when John's not home. He wears a top hat on his head, concealing his face from me. I've tried to approach him, but when I do, he runs away. I haven't told John yet. I cannot fathom why, but something keeps me from opening my mouth and admitting that a man is watching me. John wouldn't handle it well. He'd go out with his shotgun and try to find him. I must admit, I'm more afraid of what would happen to my visitor should my husband succeed. I'm very afraid of this strange man, but my God, am I also intrigued.
All right. So that was chapter 1 of Haunting Adeline. Okay. You know, it's pretty good. You know, obviously it's just the beginning. We're still setting things up, you know, so it's going to get juicier, but it's kind of entertaining, I ain't going to lie to you. You know, for one, I don't know what the fuck was going on with the whole, like, why does she even let homeboy in? And then, you know, he's like kissing on her and whatnot. Dude, she was talking some mad shit about that guy. I would be too. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was just like, this man, you know, got some Down syndrome. And then she was like expecting chivalry from him. And I'm like, baby, he's here on a booty call for one. And then for two, it's not like, you know, he was really ever taking you serious before then, you know what I mean? So it's like, he looked at it like, why the fuck am I gonna be chivalrous towards her when I'm just trying to get some booty? You know, and then I knew he wasn't going to get no booty after that. I was like, bro, come on. You expecting to get some booty? And come on, man. What you talking about? That's why he was saying, no, fuck you, Adeline. I can't believe you keep doing this to me. And then he punches a hole in the wall like that's going to do something? Like, huh? I didn't understand that part. Like, what the fuck, bro? What's going through your head? You think, like, he punches a hole through the wall and then she's like, oh my God, I'm wet again. Let's totally do it. Oh my God. You know, like, come on, bro. Like, okay. Hey, if it works for him, I guess it works for him, you know. Whatever, Grayson. Hope you die with your one sock on, bro. Oh, man. But yeah, that's going to be that segment. Like I said, on Thursday, you know, next Thursday, we'll go ahead and do chapter 2, but that's all we're going to do for today. Let's go ahead and get into our Patreon submitted scenarios, and then we will go ahead and close up the show. All right, we have our first Patreon submitted scenario. If you want to get your scenario on the show, patreon.com/Am I the Asshole Podcast, $3 a month, and you can send as many scenarios as you want, as well as an exclusive episode every single Friday. So that means you'll get an episode Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. So if you want to get on Patreon, hop on there. If you are an audio listener primarily, go ahead and click the support the show link. If you are on other platforms, then go ahead and click on the link tree as well. So let's get into it. My friend dated our middle school teacher. Okay. So my friend, 14 male, dated our teacher in middle school, 22 female. We went to a pretty small private school, me and my main friend group, which I will be making myself the name Drew, the friend who dated the teacher Ethan, and another friend who also related to the story Daniel. Now, we're in high school. Oh, we're in high school now, which we all went to different ones. Different ones. And one of Ethan's best friends was talking about how Ethan like gets so much girls or some shit, and how he even got the teacher. And I thought this was some sort of joke, and I didn't get it. After all, he is closer with Ethan than me, as in they share more stuff, and the same with Daniel. So a bit later, me, Ethan, and Daniel are at a restaurant, and we're talking about middle school, and they started whispering about if I should know. And I was like, come on, guys. And so they told me how Ethan had rizzed up the English teacher while at middle school, and told me, remember how Ethan was always hanging out in the English classroom, and how lots of times he didn't go to play at lunch break. Well, that's why. So apparently on numerous occasions he made out with the teacher at the English classroom, which was empty lots of the time, since small school, only English teacher. I don't know how much else about the story. It was yesterday when they told me. I'm pretty sure they didn't actually have sex. That's a bigger fucking ass crime. And when? What would imply that the teacher took him to her house, which not only would he not do, but I'm pretty sure the teacher had a boyfriend also. It's even more stupid than what they were already doing. So I know that our professor, who is our principal and owner of the school, almost caught them. According to Ethan, he said he doesn't know how he didn't see them, and called him an old blind guy. I also know that Daniel had the teacher's Instagram contact, and that they were chatting mid-class, which means that also Ethan had it. Something else, I remember that in the lunch break, only Ethan and the teacher were in the classroom, and they told me to get out in a funny way. I was also being funny and pretended I was spying on them, and they just told me to get away, both laughing while they did. I did go away, which I kind of regret doing. Then I didn't bother to tell anyone. I did think that something strange was going on, but while it passed through my mind the thought of, I immediately disregard it as stupid, and well, it's stupid. She's no longer working at the school. We changed teachers a lot, so it's not a surprise. And if it was something related to that, then why would they know, and would they have told me? But she was different from the other teachers, as she felt a lot more like a student than a teacher because of her age and what we talked about, because she almost never actually gave us class. We were on our phones and talked, and well, not always were the chats family friendly. As teenage kids, of course, our chats weren't family friendly, but having it with our teacher is not common. At most, when we said something really bad / sus, she would laugh and tell us to shut up. Unlike any other teachers, she was always talking with Ethan and sometimes Daniel. She talked with all of us, but it was different, especially with Ethan, but only if you pay attention and analyze it. He would always sit beside her. She also talked about her boyfriend and gave us dating advice, I'm pretty sure. But that was dog shit advice. I mean, if she's out here messing around with a 14-year-old little boy, like, come on, bro. How good is her fucking advice, really, if I'm being honest with you? Like, yeah. I posted this purely to see the response and have a laugh or two. Maybe also discuss this. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. If you don't believe me and think I just made it up for some reason, well, I can't really prove it to you other than maybe answer an inconsistency in the story. But also remember, I'm not Ethan, and all of this is mostly from an outsider perspective and from comments from him and Daniel. Man, I mean, look, it's a small town that you guys live in, and it's like a small school. So in a way, I could kind of see it, and she's only 22, so she's kind of just like, fuck it, why not? It's not like anything's going to happen between me and this kid, and it could have been a thing where it's just like, I don't think he really rizzed her up. I think she was just kind of like, ooh, I want to see what I can make this little kid do. I don't know. I think that's kind of weird, if I'm being honest with you. Like, what the fuck? But at the same time, I understand, like, she's not really looking at it like a teacher-student dynamic. She's looking at it like, oh, I'm as young as these kids, like, I'm not 22, like, I'm, 14, 15 with them, and I think that's another reason why she might have done it too, because she doesn't look at it like that. She doesn't look at it like, oh, I'm 22 and you're 14 or whatever. She looks at it like, oh, I'm one of you, So it could have happened. I don't know. You guys let me know. What do you think? Do you think that he was actually, making out with the older teacher, or was he capping? All right. All right. This is going to be our last scenario. Again, if you want your episode on the, or if you want your scenario on the episode, patreon.com/Am I the Asshole podcast. Am I the asshole for hitting my brother because he lifted up my towel? All right. It was my first reaction, and I didn't put too much thought into it. I did talk to him, and we both apologized, and I explained why I was angry with him. I also told him I wouldn't ever lay my hands on him again, and that slapping him wasn't the right thing to do. I explained that it's never appropriate to do that to someone, and hitting isn't the answer. I hope that clears up a bit. And no, it doesn't excuse my actions, and it doesn't excuse his, but for the people who are so hurt for me hitting him, he's okay, I promise. I'm a 17 female and my brother is 9. Yesterday I got out of the shower and wrapped a towel around myself, and then I went down to the hallway trying to get into my room so I can get dressed. My brother was in the hallway and he playfully went beside me, and out of nowhere he lifted up my towel. I was absolutely pissed, and I quickly pulled it back down and slapped him, and he started crying, and he ran and told my mom, who got really mad at me for hitting him as hard as I did. I told her I wasn't sorry and that he shouldn't have done that in the first place. She told me that he was little and didn't understand, and to come get her next time. Now thinking about it, I may have hit him a little too hard. I feel bad about it, but I also felt disgusted and angry with him. Am I the asshole for hitting him over this? I apologized to him and he apologized to me, but the situation still doesn't feel right. This one's a weird one, but I would say you are the asshole because For one, your brother's 9. All right, chill. Even if he did see your vagina or whatever, like, chill. He doesn't know what that's all about. He probably was just goofing around and he did that, you know what I mean, knowing that it was going to get a reaction out of you, if I'm being honest with you. Like, he probably knew, oh yeah, I'm going to get a reaction out of her, oh, it's going to be funny, so on and so forth. Like, you didn't have to whack the kid for it. Now, I understand that in the heat of the moment, you're kind of just like, oh, what the fuck? And then you hit him, and you're not really thinking, 100%. And that's, I'm sure, what the mom was hinting to, like, hey, what the fuck, you don't have to hit him, you could have just come and got me, but at the same time I understand why you did that, and I'll talk to him. It's nice that you guys did, hey, I'm sorry, blah blah blah, but at the same time you gotta understand, he's 9, he's gonna bother his older sister, you know what I mean, he's gonna bug you, he's gonna be in your room, and he's gonna do this kind of stupid shit all the time. It's not like he had an ill intention to it. Now, if your brother was like 14, then I'd be like, okay, motherfucker was trying to see some. He was trying to see a little bit of coochie, you know what I mean? Even though it's his sister's and that's kind of weird, but hey, Alabama. No, I'm just kidding. But, it's just one of those things where, like, if he was, like I said, if he was 14, or, I mean, hell, not even 14, even if he was like 12, 13, then, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, he's trying to see something, but he's 9, and he hasn't gotten to that point yet. He's still got another 2 years before he's really interested in girl parts and all that kind of stuff. I think he's just being an annoying little brother. He, knew it was going to get a rise out of you, so he did it. You know what I mean? And it was all fun and games. I do think you're the asshole for that because, like I said, that's your little brother. You know what I mean? And he's going to bother the shit out of you, and he's going to do dumb shit all the time. So, that's what that is. Short, sweet, and concise. That's going to be today's episode, man. Thank you guys so much. I hope that you guys enjoyed our first chapter of Haunting Adeline. Every Thursday we're going to go over a chapter. So I hope you guys are here. You're locked in and you're ready to go because this is going to be great. This book is going to be awesome. It is already kind of getting good and I like it. I do like it, man. We're going to talk about it and this and that. And, I'm going to be giving my opinions real time. If you've read the book already, hey, talk to me about it, man. I'd love to, chit chat with you about it. If you haven't read the book, let's read it together, man. Let's enjoy it together, and so let's make it an experience week over week. We'll be going through each chapter. And so, let's make it a journey, man. And then obviously, as 2024 goes on, I'm going to be implementing new things here and there. And, we're still going to have the Patreon scenarios. We're still going to have the Am I the Asshole scenarios. We're still going to have the threads, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? I'm hoping we can get into some more sponsored stuff. Shout out Dagayon for being our first sponsor, man. If you want to get, some, Southeast Asian candy, that is unique to places like Korea, Japan, Indonesia, like Thailand, all that stuff, man. I keep my link down there. It's a sponsor link, and that's my affiliate link. You get 5% off. And yeah, man. Let's keep it moving, dude. 2024 is gonna be the year, man. And yeah, we keep it moving, man. We keep it moving. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you guys, and peace.